guys, this is Sara Oehler here again with Soft Flex Company, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about our various colors in Soft Flex Beading Wire and how you can use crimps strategically to expose the wire in your design rather than just using the wire as a straight supply. Soft Flex comes in about 24 different colors if you include our copper and antique brass colors in the metallics line. I have a couple of those colors here today to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. I've got a green turquoise, this is our chrysoprase, our tanzanite, and then I'm using fluorite today. So these are some of our green and blue colors, but again there's pinks and purples and all sorts of colors across the board. Most of these colors are based off of gemstones. So for instance, this tanzanite is a true tanzanite color based off of a strand of tanzanite from our gallery. So they're very fashion friendly, very jewelry making friendly because they're based off of real beads that you would use in your color palette. So I have a necklace here to show you today, and it gives a couple of examples of how you can expose the wire. First, it shows you how you can actually braid the wire, and then second, it shows you the illusion style necklace that you can make with beading wire by crimping beads in place on the wire. So to make something like this, you're going to start out by stringing 3 strands of beading wire through a 3x3 millimeter crimp tube into a clasp and then back into the crimp tube. You'll go ahead and crimp that down with a mighty crimping plier. You're going to braid the wire. In this case, I braided it about 6 inches. And it's just like braiding hair, really easy, really simple. You can do multiple colors. I chose just to do one color in this case. But by all means, you can switch it up and make it your own. When I got to the bottom here, I again strung all 3 wires through a 3x3 millimeter crimp tube and used the mighty crimping pliers to crimp it down. And that just anchored the braid in place so I didn't have to worry about it unraveling. And then when you get to the illusion style part, it's really easy to do. You're going to string onto your wire a 2x2 millimeter crimp tube. I'm using the silver filled. We also carry them in sterling silver, copper, and gold filled. Our crimp tubes are double the wall thickness of most, so they're seamless, they're very strong, and there are some really cheap crimps on the market that can be pretty awful to work with. So make sure wherever you buy your crimps that you do ask that they're seamless, because that is an important factor for it to hold up. At any rate, I'm going to use my regular crimping pliers. In this case, that's what I did in this necklace. But I will show you the magical crimping pliers here in a minute too. The front hole is a rounder, the back hole is a crimper. I'm going to use the crimper first, the back hole, and I'm just going to gently compress, put a little divot into the crimp tube. And I flip it on its side and I gently compress in the rounder. And I'll go around it a few times making sure it's all nice and tight. Once I feel pretty good about that, I can go ahead and string my bead onto the wire and another 2x2 crimp tube. And I'll let it go all the way down to the other crimp tube. And I'm going to crimp again, but I do want to pull the crimp just a little bit away from the bead. And that will allow me the option of using a crimp cover. I'm going to go ahead and compress with the crimper, and again turn it on its side, compress with the rounder, and then just go through around it a couple of times. So now I've got my bead secured onto the wire. It's not going to slip or slide anywhere. If I want to add a crimp cover, it's really quick and easy to do so. The crimp covers are basically like an open-faced bead, like a little Pac-Man. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip it over the top of my crimp and compress down. And I like to tuck the two edges, so I tuck one edge and then I tuck the second edge. I know it's not very easy to see on the camera, but we'll put up a picture after I'm done here so that you can see what that looks like. So then you can do the same thing on the other side, and then you have what looks like little metal beads securing the crystal in place. If you want to use the magical crimping pliers, that is totally an option. Let me get a little wire here. I like to use a second wire when I'm putting a crimp onto a single strand with the magical crimpers. So again, I'm going to use my 2x2 crimp tubes. That's the only size crimp tube that works with the magical crimpers. I'm going to go over the top of the two wires, and then you'll see in the magical crimpers that there's actually a little divot on each side that matches identically. The crimp fits inside of that little indentation, and after it comes out from the first step, it looks sort of like a little ravioli. It has 4 little corners. I'm going to turn it on its side, and I'm going to compress those 4 little corners in that same little divot inside the magical crimper. Go around a few times till it's all nice and tight. When it's tight, it's going to look like a little tiny metal bead, and you can see the difference between the crimp cover, which is quite large, versus the 2x2 done with the magical crimper, which just looks like a round bead. And at this point, what I can do is take my flush cutters. These are my Soft Flex flush cutters. They get in really nice and close. So I can actually even use the tip to make sure that I'm trimming off that wire, so you'll never see there was a second wire under there. If you do just a single strand, it's doable, but it does take a little bit more work because the crimp sort of slips and slides around. This way you're sure that it's going to hold in place. And you would just do the same thing on the other side to hold the bead in place with the magical crimpers. So that kind of gives you an idea of how you can do the illusion style section of this necklace. The beads can be very random. You can see on this all 3 strands are different for me, and I think this was even a leftover bead necklace, so I had a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I just put it together into one necklace. And then you finish it off the same way we started. You're going to take all 3 strands and string them through a 3x3 millimeter crimp and crimp it with a mighty crimping plier, braid the wire back up to the top, and then do a 3x3 crimp at the top. So making something like this can take no time at all. It's a great way to use up some of those beads that you have laying around, and it gives you an opportunity to use all of our fun colors as part of the design rather than just straight stringing with them, although that's a wonderful use for them too. I'm sure you've noticed when you buy gemstones, they're on a colored thread, and that is for a reason. It really brings out the color in the stone. So if you match the color of wire to the color of beads, you're going to really enhance the look of those beads. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love for you to leave a comment here on our YouTube page. I do look at them daily and answer them regularly. And if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. We're trying to add a new video at least once a week. And we would love to spend some more time with you. So if you'd like to learn more about our wire, our crimps, or any of the pliers or cutters that I used today, please feel free to stop by our website, www.softflexcompany.com.